party tonight! What? TV party tonight!
Oh, we got nothing better to do than watch TV and have a couple of brews.
Don't want to talk about anything else.
We don't want to know.
We're dedicated
To our favorite shows.
Oh, my circuit!
Everybody loves Hippo Toad.
Scary dog!
Dancing at Blurnsville.
Futurama!
Good evening. You are listening to a Radulich Broadcasting Premier Podcast TV Party tonight, and we are the Indie-Siders. I am your host, the mandated reporter, and frankly, I'm mortified, Mr. Mark Radulich. And joining me is big, sexy Harry Broadhurst. How do you do, sir?
I actually went with Big Grumpy in the original Shyrod that I have at the bottom of my name there. I really thought about keeping that, but I decided to change it. Too sweet me, bro.
Everybody does that. Everybody put, like the idea is in the bubbles there, you put like your Twitter handle or your Instagram or something, and everyone's always like, I don't want to be here. I'm too sexy for this shirt. Everyone puts a little funny phrase in there. There you go. Heb the Eagle.
H-E-B the Eagle.
Okay, Heb. Listen, we've got a pair. It's our
I'm mortified.
Indeed. We've got a pair of our Indie-Sider independent shows here. First, like the big people thought the Royal Rumble was big this month. No, the real big event was the Wrld on GCW 2022. I'll tell you, Harry, it felt like 1997 ECW all over again. Like that was a really exciting event.
Okay. So we'll get to this when we actually discuss the show here. But there were so many things that got changed about the course of the show, and there were so many things that got edited about the course of the show that, if we're being honest, GCW kind of got screwed working with a bigger promotion. You can fill in the 3 letters of choice for that promotion. I'll give you a clue. They're kind of elite.
That's it's funny you say that because if you look at the graphic that I picked for tonight's show, like I pulled my art about a month beforehand.
The Eddie Kingston logo, yeah.
And I almost changed it for that reason. I was like, isn't Eddie Kingston supposed to be on this card? And then I read, oh, he got injured, so he's not here.
Yeah, Eddie Kingston was supposed to wrestle AJ Gray.
Right. In addition to which, Pat Mullen hit me to the jive regarding ICW's No Holds Barred. I've been watching it since the very first event. I've missed very few of these. I love the chains. I love No Holds Barred. I try to watch as many of these events as I can, and this will be the first one that we're reviewing. So I'm excited about this. Now, you, Harry, you were not too fond of doing the whole deathmatch thing. It was like that was sort of my pitch, if I remember correctly.
Actually, I don't mind death matches. Okay. I don't like non-ring death matches.
Okay.
ICW No Peace Underground has the no ring shows. ICW is also known for their pit fighter shows. I am getting a really bad glare off of my lamp, and I can see myself in my glasses. So I'm gonna take those off for now.
I haven't checked out any of the pit fighter shows. Like, how different are they than the No Holds Barred?
Think of it as an MMA cage.
Okay.
It's basically pro wrestling inside of an MMA cage. So like the Lion's Den.
Gotcha. We might have to do one of those one of these days. One of these pit fighter shows to fit it into the schedule here. Our pre-show meeting, we loaded up our schedule from now to April. So after WrestleMania, we'll have to find time to do a pit fighter show. All right, let's get to the Wrld on GCW. How often do you catch these GCW shows? Because like when we were planning this, I almost wanted to do the No Surrender or whatever it was with that was in Detroit with Sabu and Diesel. And I'm like, no, I can't do 50 GCW shows in a row. So. I
watch the ones that I can. I mean, obviously the bundle helps, like with FITE TV, the fact that you can get both of their shows for like you save like $10 on getting both of the shows or whatever. The problem is GCW runs so many fucking shows in a month that it's really difficult to catch every single one of them unless you have that kind of scratch, and neither of us do.
Well, time and or money, like
too.
I mean, if you don't watch anything but GCW, you might be able to keep up with their schedule. It is ridiculous.
I want to say the Detroit show was most notorious, by the way.
Yeah, it was something like that. They also have these goofy names for all of their shows.
Agreed. I actually do like the title Wrld on GCW, though. It does fit. Because with this being their initial foray into domestic pay-per-view as well.
So that's one of the things that was monumental about this. Was this is their first actual like domestic pay-per-view?
This is the first GCW show that's been done that is actually available through live over the air pay-per-view, in addition to FITE TV and then other various sources outside of the United States. Like I don't remember the name of the app overseas, but I know it's not FITE TV, but there's a couple of different things there for GCW through those means.
I'll be honest with you, and then we'll get into the show. Since the lockdown had started a year and a half ago, the first live event with fans that came back was actually GCW. They were running shows in like parks and stuff. I think they also ran one maybe in the middle of the lockdown where it was in a bar with just the wrestlers.
Acid Cup.
That was a really fun show. I have, I know that the Jim Cornettes of the world, say it's a mud outlaw mud show garbage promotion, but I have seen some really funny things. I have seen some really fun wrestling matches, and it was nice to have GCW when there was nothing available. So they made a loyalist out of me. I just don't have hours on end to watch all of their programming and $20 to spare each and every single time.
No, it's good for Brett Lauderdale and company. Giancarlo D'Atamo, who is the Giancarlo that was mentioned on the pre-show, that he talks about being his second in command. He was actually a video guy for the WWE before the previous round of roster cuts. He was released and went back to GCW. But so Lauderdale and Giancarlo, out of the ashes of what originally was Jersey Championship Wrestling, not Jersey All Pro.
You know what we're going to have to do in July, right? We're going to have to do the next Backyard Wrestling show.
I mean, we've done 2 already. Why wouldn't we?
All right, let's get into it. So the Wrld on GCW kicked off with a pre-show. There was the Pabst Blue Ribbon Kickoff Battle Royal. And that... Oh, gosh, who was in that?
Too many people to name. Not enough people that I cared about.
Oh, okay, I got it right here.
There were a couple of names that did stand out to me, though, and if you don't mind, I'll go ahead and I'll talk.
I got the list here. Psycho Clown, Dark Sheik, Cole Radrick, Paro, Hood. I thought I remember seeing Paro. Hoodfoot, Ruckus, KTB. Oh, good old KTB. Juicy Finale, Steve Scott, Nate Webb, Brandon Kirk, Janai Kai, Dustin Thomas, Marcus Mathers, Yo-Ya, B-Boy, Lufisto. And if you don't know who any of those people are, you at least know who Thunder Rosa is. And it's funny because I didn't realize there was a pre-show. So all of a sudden on my Twitter feed, I'm starting to see like pictures from the Wrld on GCW. I'm like, did I mess up and not start this on time? Like, oh no, it's just a pre-show. All right.
Yeah.
So you saw the Battle Royal. What'd you think?
It sucked.
Okay. What was wrong with it?
It's a Battle Royal. And I think that's my problem. It's a staggered entrant Battle Royal too. So it's more like a gauntlet match almost. And battle royals in general tend to be rough.
Okay.
Just because there's a lot of people, there's not really a whole lot of room to do anything. And the ones that do have the room to do anything are usually the people that shouldn't be having the room to do stuff in a battle royal.
Gotcha.
There were a couple of names here that I was really impressed by. I have long been a fan of B-Boy. I don't know if you caught it when you said that I did the B-Boy symbol. I was a little disappointed that he did not get his full B-Boy entrance with the Death Row call out and the motherfuck Snoop, motherfuck Dre, motherfuck Death Row.
Was he standing in his B-Boy pants? Was he standing in his B-Boy stance?
He didn't have a chance to do the turnbuckle pose. He did drop kick somebody in the face, though. So that was kind of cool. It was absolutely amazing to see Luffy, and she is in phenomenal shape, and I'm really happy for her because Lufisto had a cancer scare last year.
Well, that's not good. Well, Big Vin was your winner here. He last eliminated Charles Mason at 16 minutes and 5 seconds. The second match, go ahead.
Quick thing on that, Big Vin. You mentioned the Feels Like ECW thing, right?
Yep.
Big Vin, 911 son.
Really? Oh, look at that. Second generation wrestler. Good for him. The second pre-show match was Grim Reaper, Alex Zane, Dante Leon. I was wondering where Alex Zane was. Alex Zane, Dante Leon, Shane Mercer, Jack Cartwheel, and Ninja Mac in a Pabst Blue Ribbon kickoff scramble match, which lasted about 8 minutes and was won by Grim Reaper,
who actually lit up and smoked a joint in the middle of the match.
Awesome.
Yeah.
All righty.
The match itself was okay. Obviously, Alex, I don't know what WWE was thinking when it comes to Alex Zane. That dude is a superstar. And he came across as the biggest deal in this match. You know who I do think from this match would be a really good fit with the WWE, though?
Who?
Shane Mercer.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, if I remember, like Shane Mercer, if I remember correctly, is the one that's like looks like he's built like a Greek god, just all kinds of muscular. Like he looked like I remember seeing him wrestle previously, and I'm like, there's so many guys on the independent scene that look like him, and Brian Cage and the Dirty Daddy, Bruce Dickinson, and
Chris Dickinson.
Chris Dickinson. Sorry, it's late. I'm very tired.
Bruce is the Zeus.
I know who
awesome.
Bruce Dickinson is. I'm a metal podcast, for God's sake.
Welcome to the zoo.
There's so many guys like on the independent scene that look like they could be WWE wrestlers. It's really funny to me.
It's definitely become more of a body scene than it used to be back maybe when Ring of Honor, when Ring of Honor started, circa 2002, going back to like some of the Ring of Honor stuff that we've covered in the past. There's definitely more of a body style on the indies now that didn't exist prior to people trying to have the look that you might want to have in order to get scooped up to a WWE deal.
Like, I know, being an independent wrestling fan, people tend to favor like the skinny, like Alex Zanes of the world, but
the athletic types.
Yeah, but I mean, those guys, that's not who the WWE is looking for. They're looking for people who look like, Rex Steiner. So, the Braun Breakers of the world. All right, the world on GCW began, as many pay-per-views often do, with a hot match here. The Grab the Brass Ring ladder match. Winner will receive a match of their choosing a title match of their choosing at any time. And this was AJ Gray, PCO. I had to explain to my wife who PCO was, which was kind of fun. Alex Colon, G. Raver, Tony Deppen, Jimmy Lloyd, and Jordan Oliver. And AJ Gray won it in 16 minutes and 47 seconds. You're dealing with a different boy, Jimmy Lloyd. As high profile as he tends to be on the average GCW card, I am really surprised that this is where they put him. Like, they didn't put him on later on in the show. He's kind of like one of their big deals, like just a tier under Nick Gage. I would argue to that this was the Brass Ring Battle Royal where the winner got a championship opportunity of their choice, so it makes perfect sense that Jimmy Lloyd would be in this match. I accept your argument, but in the end of the day, it was AJ Gray who ended up winning. Who isn't he? He's the GCW World Champion, or is that
GCW Extreme Champion?
Oh, okay, sure.
Like their hardcore title.
Yeah.
Couple of things about this match. One, and we kind of skipped over it on the pre-show real quick. I'm going to step back real quick to that scramble match. Nick Wayne was supposed to be in that scramble match and got pulled by the New York State Athletic Commission
because
he's 17.
Oh, wow.
And
you don't want to know one of those situations on here.
Yeah, and no blood allowed in the state of New York, by the way, which I think a lot of people were going to be really disappointed about. But and that's why there wasn't a whole lot of blood on this show, except for the one that was the hard way cut. But back to the scramble match there. You notice the prominent name that was announced for this match that was missing was Leo Rush. Yeah,
what happened to Leo Rush?
I'm not sure. Maybe we'll find out a little bit later on in the broadcast.
Okay. Anyway, so this was a fun match. These guys, this was. You don't think so? You didn't think this was fun?
It was a mess, if we're being honest.
Okay, but have you not watched any GCW before?
Okay, that's
a lot of their
fair.
matches are messes. This was as messy a GCW match as they put on. That's kind of what they do.
You know what my problem was? Is AJ Gray almost killing himself off of whatever the hell it was he was attempting off of that ladder on the outside of the ring.
Yeah, it's all the fun of like a WWE ladder match with none of the skill,
polish,
separation, polish. None of that. We don't need no stinking polish.
It's an ECW ladder match, is what it was.
It really was
complete with jank ass ladders.
Yeah. All right.
You can quote me on that too. Complete with jank ass ladders.
All right. So this next one was a trios match. This match was held under Lucha Libre rules. You had Team Gringo Loco, Arez, and Demonic Flamita versus Team Bandito of Bandito, ASF, and Laredo Kid. Wasn't Bandito like just the Ring of Honor champion?
He still is half of the Ring of Honor heavyweight champion.
Okay, I thought that was Jonathan Gresham.
He's the other half of the Ring of Honor heavyweight champion. Oh. Bandito was supposed to face Gresham at Final Battle, if you recall, and Bandito caught COVID.
That's right. Well, here they are again, and Team Gringo ended up winning in 14 minutes and 9 seconds. Did you like this one any better?
This match was actually really good, and in my opinion, was the best match on the show.
Okay.
The triple dive with the double moonsault and then the tope was fantastic. I thought all 6 of these guys put in a really strong performance. The only thing that didn't look good was the finish when Gringo Loco basically moonsaulted onto nothing and then got up and hit the cradle pile and then got up and hit the cradle pile driver anyway for the finish on ASF. But yeah, all 6 of these guys gave it an overall really strong accounting for themselves.
Next match was Blake Christian, and he defeated Lio Rush. All right, so how did Lio Rush end up in this match?
Because this was supposed to be Blake Christian versus Jonathan Gresham for the Ring of Honor Championship.
Okay.
And then Jonathan Gresham caught COVID.
Oh, gotcha.
Which also explains why he was off of the Pro Wrestling Guerrillas Battle of Los Angeles this weekend, as we record this on a Sunday night.
Gotcha. Well, Blake Christian defeated Lio Rush in 12 minutes and 34 seconds. I'm going to take this opportunity to get your hot take on the Big Swole, Tony Khan, Lio Rush love triangle that blossomed on Twitter over the past week. Give me like 50 words or less, buddy.
All right, real quick about the match first. The match was really good. The finish was nice too. That 450 double stomp by Christian. I really think Christian's another one of those guys that could have been something in the WWE if he'd have given them the chance.
Too small.
I don't disagree, especially as they're phasing out that Triple H cruiserweight influence on NXT.
That's what I'm trying to say. Like when I say too small, it's not like I wouldn't accept them if I were running the WWE, and my opinion doesn't matter. The company is like drawn a line in the sand. Either look like Braun Breaker or fuck off.
I mean,
and he's and so Blake Christian, Alex Zane, Tony Deppen. As much as I would love to see Tony Deppen in there, they're part of the fuck off crew.
Alex Zane was Ari Sterling. Blake Christian was Trey Baxter. Although Christian's girlfriend's doing really well in NXT, so figure that out for yourself. Well, Cora Jade, if you're wondering, she's
adorable. She's also way klutzy. Like she makes.
I'm not a fan.
She makes Shotzi Blackheart look like a goddamn ballerina. I mean, oof. Sorry. See, saw one Cora Jade match and I was like, yikes. Stay in developmental, kid.
All right, so now to the Tony Khan Big Swole. Khan had no business saying what he said as a promoter. He shouldn't have said it. Should be smarter than that. Okay. He should have a team to advise him that he shouldn't say what he said. He wasn't wrong, however. Swole's run in AEW was disappointing.
Okay, so
Lio Rush really needs.
You're too nice. You're too nice, and I understand you're like the Jeff Harris of pro wrestling. You're like in the business. You got to watch him P's and Q's. I'll say it for you. I'm here for you, Harry Broadhurst. This is a safe space. Big Swole sucked. Okay, Big Swole.
She is nowhere near as good as her husband.
She's nowhere near as good as any women wrestler I've seen currently on mainstream television. Her matches with Britt Baker were horrible. She was tripping over her own dick. She was okay. She looked like she couldn't put together a lockup if she were if she tried. I mean, like it looked like she never had gone to a wrestling school. What was she, self-trained? What? Jesus Christ, dude. I mean, like I know I reference Jim Cornette a lot, and I don't always agree with him, but everything he ever said about Big Swole, where he was like, I am writing off that her match with Britt Baker was in the dentist office was so bad he wrote off watching Britt Baker matches, and he actually likes her and thinks she's talented. That's how bad Big Swole is. You may continue now.
I've seen one good Big Swole match against Shakara.
Were you high at the time?
It was against Shakara and Riptide, but
okay.
But anyways, so yeah, he wasn't wrong about what he said, but he shouldn't have said it.
Agreed. I think you have to learn when to sort of be the bigger man and separate yourself from the situation.
As a promoter, you have to maintain a level of professionalism that he did not show there. As far as Lio Rush goes, this is status quo for Lio Rush of him opening his mouth and putting his foot in it.
Well, here's the thing, and this is the point that even like Jim Cornette made, and I'm just kind of echoing him because I think sometimes everyone wants to throw the baby out with the bathwater with him, but he does make coherent coaching points. And one of the things he said is, if you look at that roster from like Sonny Kiss to Hobbs, some of these other people, all the Joshis, they have a very inclusive roster. Cody's wife has gone out of their way to make the show accessible for people with developmental disabilities. Come on. This is the last, like, if Big Swole was like, I didn't get a push in WWE because of racism. Yeah, we're all with you, Big Swole. No argument there. If you can't say that about, of all the things you can criticize about AEW, criticizing their lack of inclusiveness is not one of them.
I will say that I appreciate Cody basically calling that out right at the start and saying, you do realize that me and my number one lieutenant are both brown.
Right. So, I mean, it was a dumb shit thing to say, and it's sort of low-hanging fruit, and the last ditch, the last crying ditch of a person who's truly untalented to play the race card when, they have no other legs to stand on.
No, I don't disagree.
And my issue with, like, Lio Rush in that situation was, they gave you an opportunity too, and your crazy ass can't fucking, like, handle the job.
The problem with Lio Rush is Lio Rush has been known to play that same card in the past, though.
Yeah, he's a lunatic.
He's also got some mental health issues that he still needs help with. I won't deny that.
Yeah, I probably could have said it nicer than that, so let me try take two. Lio Rush has some mental health issues that he desperately needs work on, and someone should take away his social media until he does. Because this kind of thing keeps happening when you have
over and over again.
Lack of impulse control. Mm-hmm. So I just, these little Insider shows that we do, it's not just talking about what's going on in the matches, but it's kind of going what's on in the world of professional wrestling when they do happen. Moving on. Matt Cardona. All right, here's the real main event of this show. Holy cow.
Right.
Mr. Independent Wrestling, Matt Cardona. He might be my new favorite wrestler.
Your match times are jacked up, by the way.
Are they? Oh, I'm going off Wikipedia page.
Yeah, no. Never trust Wikipedia.
Okay. In any case, let me continue to fillet Matt Cardona. By
all means, fellatio away.
He's so good. I mean, I love a guy who truly understands what it means to be a heel in professional wrestling. And and really antagonize the crowd and go after them and make them hate you, because we have so many of these whiny pansies in the world of professional wrestling who don't want to be booed. Their egos can't handle it.
No, it's more of a case of so many of these people that don't want to be booed because it hurts their merchandise sales.
See, I don't know about that, because I know there's plenty of people who support the heel and want to buy the heel merchandise.
You'd be surprised. A lot of pro wrestling fans are still of that Mark mentality where they're only going to go with the baby faces.
Even still, though, Parry, that's a short sight. If you're putting wrestler A in front of me and saying they don't want to be a heel because they're afraid they won't sell as many T-shirts, that's throwing the baby out with the bathwater and not seeing the forest for the trees. The idea is to have heels that you want to pay to see get their ass beat.
I agree.
A rising tide lifts all ships. And so you have Matt Cardona with his hot ass girlfriend tearing up the indie scene, making everybody on earth hate him. And it's great.
Another thing too about that for Cardona is Cardona realizes that there was potential in the character that he had portrayed for the WWE. He just never got to fully portray that character.
Right.
The internet championship, that trollish nature of Cardona's personality that would come out.
Can you imagine this iteration of Matt Cardona in an extended feud with John Cena?
No.
Oh, it would have been money.
No.
If they had just let Matt Cardona be Matt Cardona and he could be this antagonistic, and then you have Cena, during the why is Zack Ryder not on television phase, they'd again, a rising tide lifts all ships. John Cena would have bent over backwards to get him over.
I think that Cardona could have reached potential to have a higher spot in the WWE, but not this version of Matt Cardona, because this version of Matt Cardona would have never seen the light of day in the WWE because it's too unfamily friendly.
Use your imagination. Okay. Use your imagination. Let's think out of the box here.
I can't. This is the WWE we're talking about. We're not allowed to do that.
We're going to pretend WWE isn't run by accountants and brain dead people. And
a 75-year-old septuagenarian who wouldn't know what touch is if it bit him square on the ass.
In this parallel universe, good ideas are allowed to blossom and people can get over organically. That's what I'm saying.
WWE versus creative come to life.
Yes. So in my parallel universe where a guy like Matt Cardona can actually do a PG version of that character, I think it does work. And I think
I don't disagree with that. I don't disagree with that. I think that there's potential for Cardona over in the grand scheme of wrestling because of the fact that Cardona gets it.
I was gonna say, is there like another hotter indie guy right now that's more in demand to come onto his show and get people to want to set these seats on fire? Because I don't know of anyone besides Matt Cardona.
And look at all the work that he does through his podcast as well, the Major Figures Wrestling podcast too, the Major Brothers Wrestling Figure podcast, or whatever they call it, Major Wrestling Podcast, I think it is. Look at everything that they've done for all the people that have been associated with that particular podcast and what they're doing for the careers of people like Mark Sterling and bringing Hornswoggle back into relevance once again.
Right. Well, he took on Joey Janela,
the king of the Outlaw Mud Show, as Jim Cornette would call him.
good old Jelly Nutella. I think Joey tries his best to kind of keep up with some of the guys who are more polished, and that's the really funny thing, because as much as Zack Ryder got cracked on over the years he was in the WWE, he's the veteran. He's the he's a solid worker by comparison. The match was okay. I'm more focusing on the character work of Matt Cardona and all the antics that went on outside with him and Chelsea Green. There was a point where I don't remember a lot of the match. I
think so. Cardona pins Janela with Rough Rider or whatever he's calling it these days. Through a door set up across two chairs at 19 minutes and 42 seconds.
Why does he hate Mick Foley? I mean, aside from the fact that Mick Foley
just cheap heat in New York.
Okay.
They're in New York City. Foley's from Long Island. It's the only reason.
Foley wasn't even there.
No, he wasn't. It was more for cheap heat in New York City, and because Foley is universally loved.
It's not universal. I don't like him.
Well, it's been nice doing this series with you, Mark.
I credit Mick Foley for all the wonderful things he's done in his career, and he's certainly brought a lot of joy to my life. I have not enjoyed his Twitter personality.
Okay, yeah, super pro vaccine politic Mick Foley, not so much a fan of.
Yeah,
pro wrestler Mick Foley, awesome.
Yeah, no, pro wrestling Mick Foley.
Okay, I can accept that.
One of the first times, yes. Modern Mick Foley, where he's condescending and kind of a jackass, not so much.
Oh, so basically, before he turned into Terry Funk. Gotcha.
Small horses. All right, moving on.
Real quick, back to the Cardona Janela match. I think the smoke and mirrors helped this match because neither of these guys is capable of going 20 straight. The problem is it should have never been booked to go 20 in the first place.
Yeah, this was definitely.
You could shave probably 7 to 10 off of this match.
You took the word out of my mouth. 7 minutes. This is a 12-minute match at best.
And you can still do all of the character work that you do with Sam Stackhouse and Swoggle. And
by the way, that 7 minutes that you shaved off of that match should have gone into the main event. We'll get to that momentarily.
Talk about that when we get there. Yes,
yeah,
because the main event got screwed. It was actually supposed to be about double what it was.
Yeah. All right. The second gear crew: Mance Warner and Matthew Justice with Sabu and Bill Alfonso. By the way, love Matthew Justice. He's another guy who I look at and I'm like, huh, you are built to be a WWE superstar. They just haven't noticed you.
Hold on. Matthew Justice was under a developmental deal a couple of years back.
And they didn't notice him. They let him go.
He walked out on the company.
Did he really? Why did he walk out?
I heard personal issues. I don't know anything more specific than that. I don't wish to speculate.
Yeah, that's a shame. Let's move on. So Mance Warner and former NXT superstar Matthew Justice with Sabu and Bill Alfonso.
FCW, but
defeated 4-4-0 of Atticus Cougar, Eddie Only, Gregory Iron, and Bobby Beverly by pinfall.
Not a match.
Yeah, I barely remember.
Wikipedia has that wrong. It was a segment. It was not a match.
Okay.
They counted a pinfall by Sabu on one of the members of 440. I think it was Eric Ryan. I'm not sure, but no, not actually a match.
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't remember the segment. That's why I'm just reading it off the thing.
And as a resident of that particular 440 area,
yeah.
Well, technically, I'm just below the 440 down in the 330, but still.
Oh my God, get on with it.
I'm a fan of 440.
Yeah, I liked for again that during that period where
RSP was carrying GCW.
Yeah, like I said, during the whole COVID era, like RSP was like the main villain there, and they actually had a fairly decent story with him, you know, in his little NW Crew-esque 440 with their neon t-shirts. All right, the next match, Ruby Soho making yet another indie appearance, and she took on Alley Cat by pinfall in just under 10 minutes. They put on. I was really surprised Ruby Soho got the win here. This was an opportunity to put over.
Wasn't supposed to.
Okay, yeah, I was gonna say like you would think that some of these big name stars they would use to put over their own home.
You remember when I told you that? Remember when I told you that they had cards played against them throughout the course of the show?
Go ahead. Play the song, buddy.
This was one of them.
So talk about it.
Alley Cat was supposed, or Alley Catch as she's now known, formerly Alley Cat, was supposed to go over here, and it got changed the day of the show.
Okay. Tony Khan put his foot down.
My assumption.
That's dumb. Ruby Soho's already lost on television. It's she loses she loses nothing.
She just got beat. She just got beat it beyond by Alex Shelley in the show that we covered here on FET Forever.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, I don't. And look. At this point, you know, we're all happy Ruby Soho made it to AEW. She's in the mix. If she loses on some indie show like this, who gives a crap? This is a really petty thing to say, like, you know, to get involved in.
And just as importantly to that, too, I think the fact that this was over traditional pay-per-view is the reason that decision was made. Mm-hmm. But just as importantly here, this was supposed to be the big moment of Alley Catch's career. Mm-hmm. Because they had built this up as Alley Catch's dream match. Did you see the promotional video for this match that aired right before? It was fantastic.
Yeah, it was. It was really good.
And this should have been a crowning moment for Alley Catch and potentially the start of a women's division in GCW. Mm-hmm. But you're going to have an outsider like Ruby Soho, who has, if we're being honest, has had a very disappointing run in AEW thus far.
Yeah, she had the one good match on her debut, and then that was kind of downhill from there. But I mean, Thunder Rosa, kind of the same thing. You know, she's had her ups and downs. Serena Deeb, I'm thinking of another one who probably should
Chris
be
Stat.
No, not Chris Statlander.
No, I'm saying Chris Stat's had a relatively disappointing run in AEW as well. She hasn't had a whole lot of memorable matches or moments.
Right. Look at someone like Nyla Rose. Nyla Rose should have been, you know, booked like an absolute killer, and
was for a while.
It's so like hit and miss. They take the wind out of her sails just when she starts to get any kind of momentum, and then she gets beat by people like Riho. You know,
I will be curious to see what they do for Nyla versus Ruby this Wednesday on Dynamite.
Yeah, I might watch. I mean, I know my son and I did the commentary for Beach Break, and they did an advertisement for MJF and CM Punk, which is a fun angle, and you know these guys are both good talkers. And I like the vibe. So I might actually get a chance to watch Dynamite this week.
I am going to officially state before it happens right now, I don't think that match happens on Wednesday.
Probably not. I got to imagine they have to save their first touch for a Revolution, which is sold out here in Orlando, Florida.
February, right?
March.
Really? Mm-hmm. So they're going to do what, March, May, September, and November then?
Revolution's always in March.
I thought Revolution was in February last year.
No, sir. It's always March, May, September, and then November.
I know Double or Nothing is in May. I could have sworn Revolution was in February last year.
Nope. It's always in March.
I'm Googling that. Go ahead, continue.
All right. So moving on. The next one was probably the best match of the night. Like easily, like this was a match you could have put on any mainstream television show. And I think it would have done well. The guys in it look like professional wrestlers. I mean, first of all, big Effy fan here, as we all know. I tweet Effy on Twitter, and he retweets me, or he likes my tweets. Hi, Effy. You're the best. Can't wait for your big gay brunch. I've watched every single big gay brunch. We will be covering more of the big gay brunch for the collective this year. Love Effy. I don't think he's ever going to. I mean, he might get to AEW. There, you know, we were talking before about their inclusiveness. They might bring him in, but he's got such a fun look and charisma about him, and that's so not going to work in the WWE.
I think the problem with Effy is his gimmick is a little bit too strong for AEW. with all the corporate stuff that they have to handle and everything.
I mean, if they can have Sonny Kiss, I don't know why they can't have Effy, but Effy is one of the few guys on this crew who I think could make the all things being equal. And again, don't jump up and down and be like, not with the people they have running it. All things being equal, Effy is one of those guys who's just sharp enough, I think, that he can make the leap to mainstream wrestling without missing a beat. And he's got all the charisma in the world. And then I've never seen Jeff Jarrett look so good. Like, I used to hate Jeff. Jeff Jarrett had go away heat with me for the longest time. He looked jacked. He looked young. He looked like a killer. Where was this Jeff Jarrett during the fucking NWO 2000 era?
The last Outlaw look for Jarrett, the all black, is a really good look for him. I absolutely agree. He looked at least 10 years younger than he looks in his WWE appearances.
Oh, yeah. Like when I think he's in the Hall of Fame now, right? If I'm remembering correctly.
Yes, he is.
I remember he looked super old during his Hall of Fame speech. He came out looking
he was just real quick. He was just on SmackDown a week and a half ago, and he looked like a dinosaur.
Right.
He comes out at Wrld on GCW, and he looks like a world beater.
I was going to say, like, what, they throw him in? Did he bathe in a Lazarus pit? He looks like 10 years younger than he did just, like you said, just a couple of weeks ago.
He found that fountain of youth. Apparently, Ivory found.
Yeah, really. He found something, man. I don't know if it's human growth hormone or cow testicles or what.
Can you believe that Ivory is fucking 60 years old?
She looked hot, man. You know, listen. As I told my feminist 11-year-old daughter, not that I didn't want Alicia to splash herself with soda again, but I'll tell you, Ivory in her right to censor outfit, woohoo, hubba hubba. I'm gonna tell you what I told my 11-year-old feminist daughter. I'm a man. I like women, and I'm gonna say it out loud. I'm not ashamed.
For more of this commentary, check out the live stream commentary for the Royal Rumble available here on the Radulich Broadcasting Network, apparently.
Oh, yeah. Your buddy Liz was in the comment section for that.
Well, that's nice. Hi, Liz. I like Liz. Liz is cool. Liz is good people.
Yeah, Liz was having fun with us. Found some of our commentary questionable, but questionable commentary is what we do here on the Radulich Broadcasting Network.
Liz has done a podcast with me. I think you guys are okay.
Did Liz tell you? Did anyone reach out to you yet about the wrestling trivia show that we're doing? I think I did, and you said when it gets closer to picking a date.
I will let you know.
Yeah,
I do feel like it would be kind of unfair to put me against those amateurs, though.
Okay, geek. It's gonna be like Gavin of the Casual Heroes. Hang on,
champion, sir.
Hang on. I take umbrage to that, considering I have Pat, who has the memory of a goddamn elephant, who's been doing the main
wrestling
shows with me.
Trivia champion, sir.
Don't be a pussy and take on Pat, who's the real champion. Between him and Gavin, you have stiff competition, my friend. I'll put them two against you any day.
Tell me when the show is, and we'll make it work.
All right.
Calling me out on air. All right, I see how it is.
Yeah, welcome to the Radulich Broadcasting Network.
I don't necessarily want to do this. Oh, yeah, you're a pussy. Fine, I'm in. That's basically what just happened. I got punk carded.
There's no basically about it. That is exactly what happened.
Pulled my punk card. Okay.
Jeff Jarrett, Effy was probably my favorite match of the night. This was awesome. This was everything I wanted it to be. Again, I don't know why. I mean, I hope they're going to do more with Effy and Jeff Jarrett. This is just chapter one, because I would hate to see so many GCW guys get beat on their own show, and then there's no follow-up. So,
and that was my biggest problem here, specifically the fact that the three major matches that were promoted that could happen, because obviously AJ Gray versus Eddie Kingston couldn't happen.
Right.
Obviously, Blake Christian versus Jonathan Gresham couldn't happen because Kingston's injury and Gresham having COVID. Janela lost. Alley Catch lost. Effy lost. Janela has a history of losing these marquee matches. He does it all the time on spring break. It's not exactly a surprise.
Right.
Alley Catch was supposed to go over, and I wouldn't be surprised if Effy was supposed to go over too.
That's a shame. But hey, I'm going to go ahead and give him the benefit of the doubt and say this is just chapter one, and in the end, Effy will win. In the end, Effy will win.
In the end, never mind. I can't finish that sentence without getting us thrown off the air. Next.
Please don't get me demonetized. All right, Jon Moxley took on Homicide. Jon Moxley, the current GCW World Heavyweight Champion, which I had completely forgotten about because he was in rehab for as long as he was. This went, according to Wikipedia, 11 minutes, 14 seconds. Jon Moxley and Homicide, I think, put on a halfway decent match.
I have 11:26 for mine with the Death Rider onto an open chair. But for as young as Jeff Jarrett looked, Homicide looked old.
Yeah. I had forgotten. My lasting memory of Homicide is the one time TNA went against Raw on a Monday night and they put that ridiculous domed cage.
The Thunderdome, whatever the fuck it was called.
Yeah, and he couldn't get out of the cage.
Because he was supposed to meet Hardy up on top of the cage.
Yeah, they couldn't climb out.
I cannot do the glasses because of the glare. It's pissing me off.
Because he was, however it was domed, he just didn't have the upper body strength to get himself out of it.
He was supposed to pull himself up through that small hole on the top of the cage and meet Hardy up there on top of the cage for a fight or whatever.
Hardy was up there looking like he was waiting on a bus. The poor Homicide.
Checking his Apple Watch, looking for apps and things to play while he's waiting.
He's baking a cake. He's doing his taxes. Poor Homicide. So embarrassing. But yeah, Homicide's been around for forever, and he looked it. You're not wrong.
I will say this much though: Mox looks amazing. Yeah,
Mox looks refreshed. He got the help that he needed, and hopefully he'll be with us for a long time. I was kind of hoping we were talking about this. I don't know how much of the Royal Rumble commentary you heard, but we were kind of hoping Mox was going to interfere in the Seth Rollins Roman Reigns match, but there was no forbidden door here.
Mox has made very public that he has no interest in working for the WWE ever again.
Hey, it's what happens when when you're mistreated in the company and you burn every bridge with every talent that you have. Boy, all right, last match. Oh, you got the Mox book, huh?
Full on burial inside of here. Yeah, he has no intentions of going back.
I might have to give that a read or an audio listen. All right, in the main event, this one was kind of a letdown. I mean, everybody who has anything positive to say about GCW, this was a bit of blue balls. This was not what anyone wanted, but the crowd seemed happy, so whatever. Who cares what I think? It was Matt Tremont and Nick Gage who answered the open challenge of the Briscoes. This went about 5 minutes.
5 minutes, 38 seconds.
Yeah. And the Briscoes have already lost their GCW Tag Team Championship, and then Nick Gage gave a Phil Anselmo-esque incomprehensible speech at the end. For me, the night ended with Moxley and Homicide. This was BS. But I'll let you have your say here.
I understood what Gage had to say. Yeah, the match only going 5 minutes was a colossal disappointment. But this is where being on traditional pay-per-view screwed them.
No, hang on. See, everyone says that. Because I saw that on Twitter too. The hot take was, it was because of the pay-per-view. Sorry, y'all know how to tell time. Chuck D messed up a night where he was opening up for U2. I don't know if you know this or not, but Chuck D tells the story that when Public Enemy was touring with U2, I think it was, they went over on their set time, and the next night it was docked from their set time. They had to make up the time. See, you people, you are adults. You are responsible people. You know how to tell time. You should know how to,
Wait. Whoa. You're calling GCW responsible now?
Yes, these are responsible. You want to play with the big boys and do pay-per-view and talk about how successful you are. Run your promotion like adults.
Well, I'm not saying that it shouldn't have happened, but clearly it didn't.
Well, but the excuse, Harry, of it's because they were on pay-per-view. Sorry, they didn't just land on pay-per-view midway through the show and not know they were there.
The point being is that if this show were strictly on FITE TV, this match would have been longer.
I understand that, but they knew they had a hard out. Listen, if me and you are recording, right, and I say I have to hard out at exactly 60 minutes, and we have 15 minutes left, you know what I'm doing? I'm cutting the next segment, okay?
Peace out, ICW.
We're done. My point is that if you know you're going to hard out at 11 and you start doing clocks for each one of your matches, you got to realize, hey, this isn't going to work. We're going to go over. So cut 7 minutes off the Matt Cardona match,
which is what should have happened.
Yeah, but that's how adults run their business. So this BS about it's the pay-per-view's fault. No. it's Lauderdale.
No,
and
I'm putting
who,
it. I'm putting it on Lauderdale and
okay.
and Giancarlo. I'm putting it on them for mistiming it, and then people probably running over their times anyways. Because it's I don't know if you're aware of the phrase "Indio clock," but it's a very real thing.
Go home, meh.
Eventually,
suggestion. Yeah. Go home. I'm gonna have a sandwich. No,
have you ever heard the story about the one independent promoter? I heard this story and I legit almost fell off my chair laughing.
Please,
there was one independent promoter who would send out the go home signals, and if the wrestlers in the ring wouldn't go home, he'd literally turn off the lights in the building.
That's awesome. Literally get a hook.
Yes, more or less. He's hitting him with the Gong Show. Nope.
All right, so I enjoyed the World on GCW for what it was. The crowd seemed very, very happy. I would watch. I would continue to support GCW. I'm not, again, I'm not like the work rate snob. I enjoy my my garbage wrestling, but they actually outside of outside of the timing issue and sort of a lackluster main event due to the time constraints, I thought this was a really good show. 6.5,
which I've seen a lot of people go a lot lower on this show, and I think it's uncalled for and disrespectful to the talent. Oh, yeah.
Better than average. Yeah, that's a shame. I thought this was a better than average show. I'm good with a 6 or a 7.
One of the guys on 411, I think, gave it a 3, which is just downright disrespectful.
What did he want to see happen here?
So Scott Keith hated it, too.
Okay.
But in fairness, Scott Keith hates pretty much everything that is in AEW these days. So
okay, maybe stop watching wrestling then. Go outside and take a walk there, Scott Keith.
Do you have a daughter? Play with her.
Yeah, there you go. Maybe find a new hobby. I'm going to give you the final word on this, and then we're going to move on to the next segment.
Overall, I thought the World on GCW was a solid event that obviously had its issues. The ladder match itself was clunky, but again, independent wrestling ladder matches tend to be clunky, so this was true to form. The Cardona Janela match, I'm going to skip around a little bit here and there. The Cardona Janela match was fun for what it was. Mm-hmm. Told the story that they needed to tell, but probably could have told that story 7 to 10 minutes quicker.
Yeah.
And then when you factor in entrances and everything, that whole segment ran like a half an hour.
Right.
So
cut the X-Pac appearance. How about that?
That's setting up spring break though.
Ugh.
It's going to be Pac and Janela against Cardona and Myers at spring break.
Right.
Almost certainly.
Okay.
All right. The Moxley Homicide match was a good retelling of their story, and I loved Lenny Leonard being on commentary for that because Lenny Leonard was the commentator for Evolve when they feuded in Evolve. Okay. So he was able to perfectly tell the story that they needed to tell there. The main event was disappointing, running only 5.5 minutes, but the sight of the entire GCW roster in the ring celebrating the fact that they made it onto pay-per-view, very similar to how it was at the end of the Barely Legal in 1997, like you talked about, and the entire roster in the ring celebrating with Terry Funk as he won the ECW Heavyweight Championship. It gave me that vibe.
Yep, 100%. I was totally waiting for the ring to fall apart, by the way. All right.
Well, at least there is a ring to fall apart here as opposed to what's about to happen.
Yeah, buddy. Well, I'll tell you what's going to happen. For you listeners of the Insiders TV party that you're listening to, Grammarly is offering a free download of the Grammarly software. Grammarly's AI-powered products help people communicate more effectively. Grammarly helps you write mistake-free on Gmail, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and nearly anywhere else you write on the web. Grammarly corrects hundreds of grammar, punctuation, and spelling mistakes while also catching contextual errors, improving your vocabulary, and suggesting style improvements. To download Grammarly today, go to getgrammarly.com/W2M Network. Again, that's getgrammarly.com/W2M Network to download Grammarly for free. All right, and now we move on to No Holds Barred, baby. ICW 21.
Can we stop using that stupid fucking song from the movie? God, that song sucks.
All right, so we have 8 matches here. If you've seen an ICW match, you kind of know what you're in for. I have a couple of talking points here. We'll go through the card here. There was definitely some things I wanted to mention, but the ICW, a lot of them, it's just a lot of hitting each other over the head with light tubes and gusset plates and
other dumb shit.
Yeah, it's a little hard to sort of differentiate one match to the next, but there were some minor differences here from one thing to another, so bear with us. But you sent me the times here. I'm going to go off your list instead of going to another page here. And it's actually good that you started with this one because I need to talk about this. Akira pinned Clint Margera an SST on barbed wire door at 16 minutes and 59 seconds. So I'm over stabbing people with a knife in pro wrestling, and there's no blood. You have to pick one. Either stab them or don't stab them, but don't mimic stabbing them, and then there's no blood. Because I don't know if you know this or not, Harry, but when you stab somebody with a knife, they bleed. Okay? I
could not agree more. I thought this match, ran way too long for an opener, especially on a night where you knew there was going to be a bunch of weaponry and shit. Mm-hmm. I understand that Clint's starting to make a name for himself up in that area. Akira is kind of well known in the deathmatch community. Oh, but
Akira is this like wonderful young whippersnapper up and comer in this series. He's been on a bunch of these, and all they talk about is like he had a match with Matt Tremont on one of these. Akira is like the next big death. He's like the next Nick Gage, basically, except he's never going to get there at the rate he's going. I saw an ICW show like just after lockdown where he yeeted off the roof of the place. It looked awesome, but he's going to mess himself up one day. But also, like I said, you can clearly see him holding the blade. And then he's like, mimicking jamming Clint Margera with it. And I'm like, no. Now look, deathmatch wrestling has its issues, but it's not like totally phony. These guys are really hurting each other. And that looked, as they say, as phony as a football bat.
Yeah, the problem that I have, too, is, like you said when we were discussing this, a lot of these matches tend to run together, and a lot of these stipulations run together. And the problem here is, and this is my big issue with the No Holds Barred series, is there's only so much you can do with the chains for the ropes because you can't really do anything off the ropes with them. Right. And they only have that one platform in the ring in order to do high spots. But the high spots that they do off of that platform are usually super contrived because you have to work together in order to get up to the platform.
Right.
Because of the ropes being what they are with the chains. I get that DeMonto wanted to do something different with No Holds Barred, and I understand that, and I appreciate the attempt. I think the execution is flawed. If you wanted to do two sides of chains and two sides of ropes, I could see that being sufficient. Mm-hmm. But the way that they have it set up here, it's just everything bleeds together, and nothing really stands out.
No, this was my issue with the IWA tournament, I think a year or two ago. Where, there was so many death matches between two nights, I couldn't differentiate from one night to the next. And the only thing that made them different was when they would put like giant light tube props in there. It was the same thing with the 3 nights of GCW in Japan, which my son and I thought was a hoot. But it was a lot of the same kind of stuff. But then like when Schlack took on Ayatollah, what's his face? Kobayashi. Yeah. That's when they had the light tubes all, strapped to the ropes and everything, and there were these
main event for tonight for this show. Actually, it's the same way, and that match stands out much more than these general ones that happened on the build up to that.
But again, you can only do that so many times before it gets redundant too. So that was sort of my takeaway from Akira Clint Margera. I like Akira. I think he really puts forth the effort for something like this, and he's definitely making himself known. But they got to lose the stabbing with the knife thing. Like, please don't do that again.
SST stands for severe skull trauma. It's a tribute to Axel Rotten, who used that move as his finisher. Rest in peace.
Next match, Colby Carino defeated Brandon Kirk in just under 10 minutes.
I actually like this match.
Yeah, this one actually felt like a wrestling match.
And not to mention
moments, but
not to mention it also had some legitimate heat going into it. And with the video that they played beforehand, seeing Steve Carino pop up on an ICW show was a pleasant surprise for me because I am a huge Steve Carino mark.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this one wasn't nearly as bloody or as gross as the one before it or the ones that will come after it. They're actually pretty good. I can't remember why they stopped. What was the reason they stopped it again?
The finish was Casey Cattell threw in the towel for Brandon Kirk.
Oh, that's right.
While he was in the crossface.
Gotcha.
Colby had a barbed wire crossface on Brandon Kirk, and Brandon's wife Casey Cattell threw in the towel.
Gotcha. All right, so let's just get this out in the open right now. Let's just deal with it. When you look like Shane Douglas looked, maybe don't wrestle anymore. I mean, I don't know what Shane's been doing over these past few years, but make a decision. You're either going to have a comeback and hit the gym and not look like you're pregnant, or you're not wrestling. Like, put on a sports coat, maybe manage somebody, special appearance.
So
and can we and how I know that Shane Douglas, I think I might have told the story when we reviewed the ECW, the XPW show. Like, I know that everywhere Shane Douglas went, somebody pissed him off and he had to do a speech about it. It's been 100 years. Get a life, Shane.
Yeah.
Let it go, buddy. Go to church or something.
All right. So I will say this much.
Mm-hmm.
I am a fan of the franchise.
Sure.
I have been for years. I had an opportunity to meet him at a benefit show that a buddy of mine put on, where I worked the door, and I also did some backstage interviews, and I had the chance to meet Douglas, and Douglas could not have been nicer when I met him.
Mm-hmm.
I know not everybody has had that same experience with Douglas. I know that he has burned a lot of bridges in wrestling, some of them through his own volition, some of them through other means. Shane Douglas should not be wrestling in 2022.
Shane Douglas looked like there was a point where Danny Demento, you spelled it Demento.
It's pronounced it's spelled Demento. It's pronounced Demonto.
Had him laid out on like a table or a door or something, and I thought Shane Douglas was going to give birth. I thought when Tomato, whatever his name is, hit him, a baby was going to yeet out of his womb into the crowd. Yikes.
I'm gonna need a second.
Breathe. You forgot to breathe again. Yeah, Shane looked pretty bad. I mean, look, the best part of this match was Shane coming out to Perfect Strangers by Deep Purple. Sure.
His old ECW theme song.
Another one where we have the old legend come back, and he ends up winning the match. Go ahead.
Just about to say, Douglas over belly to belly through a half-cut soda can table board gimmick in 9 minutes, 9 minutes and 29 seconds.
All right. Next one, Kroll pins Justin Kyle forward full Nelson slam onto the chairs at just under 12 minutes. I don't even remember this match, I'll be honest with you.
Justin Kyle was built up as this big deal. It was basically two large dudes no-selling each other for most of the
match. That's right. Yeah. Okay, now I remember.
Kroll is a guy in MLW. He's known as Mads Kruger. I don't know if that helps any.
A little bit.
Justin Kyle is an obnoxious prick who can go fuck himself.
Did he hurt you, Harry?
I reiterate my statement. I feel no need to expand.
Fair enough.
The match, like I said, the match itself was basically just two large dudes no-selling each other for most of the match.
Yeah. Satu Jin pinned Casanova Valentine with a Uranagi through the barbed wire door.
Who's Inagi?
I said a Uranagi.
That's the joke. Who's Inagi? Uranagi. That was the joke that the announcer kept making during. Okay.
You don't even get drums for that or a trombone. You get the crickets.
That was it was the GCW reference.
I was doing work at the time. I wasn't listening.
Fine. Be like that.
All right. Casanova Valentine is a tall drink of water, man. He like so many of these guys, like you look at and you're like, you really do death matches? Alrighty. Like Casanova Valentine, I like looks like if Lemmy was a death match wrestler. I dig on Casanova Valentine, man.
That's actually a really good. That's a really good comparison now that I think about it. Satu Jin looks like he stopped working at the local Chinese restaurant in order to do a death match.
Yeah.
Seriously, how the fuck demonetized? Sorry. How the F does a dude who looks like Abdullah the Butcher's illegitimate kid end up getting a spot on this card here? Like, he is 1/3 of the rejects.
I mean, you can't have Schlack on every show.
Yeah, I would have preferred Schlack, honestly.
Well, who wouldn't? I mean,
Slack was actually really cool when I met him too, when I did the IWA King of the Deathmatch show. But anyways, Satuji doesn't look like a wrestler. So there are two different kinds of deathmatch wrestling. There are that hybrid style of deathmatch wrestlers, your Nate Webbs, your Nick Mondos, your JC Baileys, your guys from Japan like Yoon Kasai and what's the one guy's name? Thumbtack Jack from Germany. Guys that can actually make it look like a legitimate fight while having the deathmatch elements. And then there are fat dudes who walk around hitting people with shit.
He is definitely the latter.
These kind of death matches piss me off because Casanova Valentine is actually really fucking talented.
Yeah, he's pretty good.
And Satu Jin is really fucking not.
All right, the next match here, we had the women's match, Mickey Knuckles versus Ludark Shaitan.
Oh, I love Mickey, but good Lord.
Yeah, this was not, look, I don't want to bag on like the women. Oh, women can't do deathmatch wrestling. I mean, look, I still have very fond memories of Britt Baker and Thunder Rosa doing their death match at the St. Patrick's Day show last year on ECW.
Lights out, yes.
Yeah, it was a death match. Let's call it what it was. That was a hoot. It was a great show. Women can do this stuff. These two gals, I mean, like, you know, one thing that Jim Cornette says is like the thing about like independent wrestling is the talent sometimes can be so bad, can be so low that when they try to do something that the guys do, it exposes it for how fake it really is. Like these two women were kind of embarrassing for a deathmatch show. It was not good.
Okay, I'm going to say this. I've been a fan of Mickey Knuckles for years. I first saw her when she was breaking into IWA Mid-South back when I got into the promotion back in like 2006, 2007. She'd been around for a couple of years. Chris Hero trained, Ian Rotten trained, Tracy Smothers trained. Was actually a solid little worker. A decent women's wrestler, would have matches against guys on occasion as well. Then Mickey left wrestling, had 2 kids, and has since come back recently. And unfortunately, Mickey looks like she's recently had 2 kids and isn't taking wrestling as seriously as she used to.
Didn't look like Ronda Rousey, I'll tell you that much.
Ronda wasn't in any kind of ring shape either, but that's neither here nor there.
I mean, she was in better shape than Mickey Knuckles. Is my point.
That's not that difficult of a comparison at this point, let's be honest. Ludark Shaitan.
How about Becky Lynch? Becky Lynch had a kid too and came back and looked perfect.
But and it's the Irish in her, I'm telling you.
Okay.
Ludark Shaitan is actually a very decent wrestler. She is not a great deathmatch worker because of the fact that a lot of her deathmatch stuff, as you were saying, does not look good.
Yeah.
And the problem is when you put this when you put them against each other on a show like this, their inability to have an actual wrestling match out around the traded light weapon shots, specifically the light tubes stuff. Once they stopped hitting each other with the light tubes, it's like they ran out of ideas.
Yeah, it was not good, man. Like there was one bit where they put and I have really come to hate this. And in the beginning, I kind of just accepted it as part of the culture, but I've come to hate it. The stupid thing where they put the chairs directly in front of each other and they take turns slapping each other. I know that's like you're supposed to show how tough you are, and in this case, I think like she did. Like, we're gonna have a conversation, and it was like, oh god,
it's the Necro Butcher spot, the bar fight spot.
Okay, the Necro Butcher has been dead for 1,000 years. Let's retire his spot.
Necro's actually about to get back into wrestling again.
He's 1 billion years old.
I don't disagree with that. He's still about to get back into wrestling.
Necro Butcher was there when the first Stardust formed planets. We don't need him in wrestling or his stupid spot. Let's move. Let's evolve as people, Harry. Let's move on.
Okay, next match. You said to move on, so we're going to the.
We're gonna move on.
Mickey Knuckles. Real quick, Mickey Knuckles versus Ludark Shaitan ends in a draw via double pinfall at 16 minutes and 33 seconds.
Yeah, lost me well before that. Big Joe pinned Hoodfoot with knee strikes and a senton at 13 minutes and 8 seconds.
Big effing Joe. I just didn't put the effing on my match description.
Okay.
Okay, so I will give Big Joe credit. I didn't think he was that great or anything. This match itself was kind of but in fairness, most of these matches were kind of
Yeah.
It was a very smart decision to wear white for Big Joe. And the reason I say that is because he was completely blood-soaked by the end of this match.
Yeah.
And I think that's what fans of this style of wrestling are looking for.
Yeah, this one got gross in a hurry, but that's what we're here for.
Yeah. So I will give him credit. Mo Atlas is a solid worker. I'm not huge on him as a deathmatch guy, but he's a solid worker. That's Hoodfoot, in case you're wondering, if you didn't know.
Okay. And in your main event for the
Battle of the
title,
Rejects,
Reed Bentley pinned JW Murdoch at almost 20 minutes here with a sliding
forearm strike.
Gotcha. Yeah, I mean, look, it was the last match of the night. They pulled out all the deathmatch tricks, all the gusset plates, all the little stabby sticks. They just did everything. These two were puddles of blood by the time this was over.
The difference is these two can actually wrestle.
Yeah. This was good. I actually for a deathmatch show, I actually really enjoyed the Reed Bentley match.
Reed Bentley doesn't get the credit that he deserves, I don't think. Everybody talks about JWM, John Wayne Murdoch. Everybody talks about the fact that this dude is like the next coming of the deathmatch guy in the United States. He's like the next Nick Gage.
Yeah, and they've been pushing him like pretty heavy too.
He just recently came back to GCW. He appeared on the Wrld on GCW when he took out Alex Colon, if you recall. That's right. During the course of the brass ring ladder match. So, and they just announced a match for John Wayne on their next show, I think, Houston in February. I want to say is when it was announced for. I'm not sure the specifics. I don't remember. They have so many shows coming up that it's hard to keep track, as discussed earlier.
Indeed.
That being said, so John Wayne Murdoch is that guy that is starting to make his imprint into other promotions outside of just ICW. Like, he just recently had a shot at Alex Shelley and the IWTV Independent Wrestling Championship as well. Mm-hmm. So he's not just a deathmatch guy. He's one of those hybrid guys that I was talking about earlier. Reed Bentley is another one of those hybrid guys that I was talking about earlier, where that he can wrestle the deathmatch style, but he can also have an actual wrestling match. I mentioned the IWA Mid-South King of the Deathmatch that I did, yes?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
I've mentioned it a couple of times before on the podcast here. What I haven't mentioned before is I actually did a show called Prelude to Death, which was the night before as well. Mm-hmm. And on that show, Reed Bentley was in a 4-way main event for the IWA Mid-South Heavyweight Championship. It was Reed Bentley, Mance Warner, John Wayne Murdoch, and Larry D. He of Impact Wrestling.
Oh, very cool. Well, overall, I mean, the No Holds Barred shows. It's so funny. Chris Sheehan, when we do the WWE stuff, is like, "Hey, it's about the moments, right?" And then he usually goes, "Bleh." But it is. The shows are not known for their memorable matches so much as they are known for creating moments that are memorable, and then the rest of it all just sort of bleeds together. I like the No Holds Barred series when I am afforded the time with all of my other podcast duties and wife and husband duties and father duties and work duties to actually sit down and watch one of these shows when there isn't boxing, wrestling, and MMA going on. I like to. They tickle me. I just don't always get a chance to watch them. I think I told you the last time I watched a No Holds Barred match was the one with Haku, and that was, I think, October. So, and I watched it in a tent while I was taking my son camping. That was a fun. Speaking of John Wayne Murdoch, that was a rough match, man.
Is he the one who wrestled Haku?
No, I think Schlack wrestled Haku. No, he wrestled, I think, in the main event of that show, and it was brutal. But between that and GCW, these were fun shows to watch, and another stellar addition in our series here of indie wrestling shows.
My buddy Eric Watkins has a specific phrase that he uses to describe stuff like this. Mm-hmm. YMMV. Your mileage may vary.
Yeah, Robert.
If you can tolerate the deathmatch style, if you can watch the deathmatch style, if you have a strong stomach to be able to do so, then ICW and GCW's regular shows are something that you can probably sink your teeth into on a consistent basis. If you're looking for a more mainstream version of the GCW product, then the Wrld on GCW was kind of that attempt in order to portray themselves as maybe number 3 in the country right now, I would say. You could make the argument they're the third most popular promotion in the country right now, behind WWE and AEW.
You don't think Impact edges them out just slightly?
Impact is owned by the people whose television station they are on. That's kind of an unfair advantage.
Okay. I was thinking in terms of like, it doesn't matter.
Maybe ROH, if ROH comes back at any kind.
I'm not currently counting ROH. We'll see what happens on April 1st.
We'll also have to see what happens with Impact as well, because a lot of the Impact guys show up on GCW on a regular basis too.
They do. Hey, it's, I say this, feel like every show, and this is gonna be the last thing I say, but it's right now in the of the past 20 years since the bottom fell out and WWE bought everything. I don't think there's been a more exciting time to be a wrestling fan, with all the availability of known mainstream talent showing up on any manner of shows. I mean, look, like Ruby Soho goes from WWE to AEW to Beyond Wrestling to GCW. Matt Cardona is all over the place. You have a guy like Jon Moxley, who was the AEW heavyweight champion, is now the GCW heavyweight champion. I mean, you never, like, that's the fun of doing the show like this podcast, is you really get to see some really fun indie shows that just a couple of years ago would not have had this many mainstream talents coming in and out so consistently. So I'm here for it.
We kind of teased that we're going to cover AIW next month, and the show that we're covering for AIW actually has Cardona on it as well.
So, yep, that's what we're going to call it here for the evening. So the Indie-Siders will be back February 19th, late in the evening, about 10:30-ish. We'll be live streaming again. And as Harry just mentioned, AIW, you know what? I'm not leaving. And then speaking of death matches, I just sort of picked this one out of a hat. It was what was available on the schedule that we were planning for. And I love a good death match, so I'm going to give this one a shot here. Death Match Down Under, Roll On. So we'll be reviewing both of those February 19th. We're going to skip March. I'm going away for a week, and I'm super busy. So we're going to skip March, but we are going to double and triple up in April. Go ahead, Harry.
Trivia, where is Death Match Down Under located? Do you know?
No. It
is an Australian promotion.
Oh, well, I figured that. I thought you were going to ask me like if it's in Brisbane or something.
Sydney, I think. But the reason I know of DMDU is because one of my favorite female wrestlers actually got a lot of her pandemic work through DMDU, Charlie Evans.
Oh, that's cool. So we're going to do 3 shows around the time of WrestleMania. We've been doing these live streams, these alternative commentaries, like we just did for the Royal Rumble. We're going to be doing Dan Lasby and the Podsman and I. We'll be doing Elimination Chamber in Saudi Arabia. We have just confirmed that one, all, or both, or all Podsman will be doing both nights of WrestleMania, and I may even make Chris Sheehan do the NXT show with me on the same day as night 1 of WrestleMania. So, but I'm not going to leave Harry out of the festivities.
I like NXT. Oh,
sure you do. But I'm not going to leave Harry out in the cold. Harry gets to do Ring of Honor with me, Supercard of Honor, if it actually happens on April 1st. So we will be doing our live stream alternative commentary for Ring of Honor, Supercard of Honor, in addition to all the WrestleMania stuff. And then after that, we've got some more Indie-Sider shows coming up for you. We've got Effy's Big Gay Brunch 2022. And Harry keeps saying, well, why don't we look at some of these older shows? Why don't we look at some of these archive shows? Why don't we look at some historical stuff? And I went, right. No Peace Underground, Fear the Gay Agenda. And Harry flipped the table over. He says, you and all your gay wrestling Radulich. And I say, you know what? Make it gayer. That's what I say. I'm right there with you, Effy.
Do you have that shirt?
I need that shirt. I told my wife the other day.
I'm almost certain he has a shirt that says "Make Pro Wrestling Gay Again."
Oh, he does.
Yeah.
He definitely has the Make It Gayer shirt. The shirt that I saw from the website was Pro Wrestling is Gay, and I'm like, I need to get that shirt and wear it to like a WrestleMania. If there is a Make It Gayer shirt out there, or make Pro Wrestling Gay again, I want those shirts too, and I will wear them on this podcast.
I am absolutely not surprised as I wear my Angry Birds shirt on this particular podcast.
So yes, we will be doing Effy's Big Gay Brunch, and then from last fall, I think it was No Peace
September, I think.
Yeah, No Peace Underground's Fear the Gay Agenda. I've been dying to watch that one, and so that's what we're gonna do. But hey, it's not all just gay wrestling here on the Indie-Siders. We will also be.
Are you sure?
We will be doing both nights of Joey Janela Spring Break nights 1 and 2. And if there's something else that's fun with the collective, maybe for the culture or Bloodsport or something, and we can fit it into the schedule, we might do another one.
I somehow feel two white dudes reviewing For the Culture would not go over well.
We're absolutely doing For the Culture then.
And is this why you're having Jason Teasley in for the triple feature thing for Black History Month?
Yeah, we have like half a dozen triple features dedicated to Black History Month. That's
gonna get offensive, is what that's gonna get.
It's gonna be amazing. Jason Teasley and I will be celebrating Black History Month all month long in the month of February. I cannot wait.
Remember, folks, since Radulich in Broadcasting is associated with us, all hate mail goes to s.garmer@gmail.com.
All day, every day. So yeah, when we get the schedule and we figure out, I may stick a fourth one in there. We have to do For the Culture and Bloodsport.
I asked for this. I walked right into this one.
You really did. Poor innocent Harry a year ago was like, I'm here for all your wrestling stuff. A year later, so how many gay wrestling shows are we doing? They're all gay, Harry. Every last one of them. Gay and black and awesome.
The views and opinions of Mark Radulich do not necessarily reflect the W2M network and or its affiliates, specifically Amazon Music.
Yes. And speaking of Amazon Music and gay black wrestling, we are giving away a free 30-day trial of Amazon Music Unlimited. To get yourself a free trial, go to getamazonmusic.com/W2M network. Again, that's getamazonmusic.com/W2M network for your free 30-day trial. You can check out all the bands we're doing on the Metal Hammer of Doom, like Amorphous and Korn and Battle Beast, and some of the ones we've done earlier this year, like the Night Flight Orchestra.
How's the new Volbeat?
The new Volbeat was really good. It was better than the last two, by far.
So up there with like Outlaw Gentlemen or Shady Ladies and Outlaw Gentlemen?
Yes, I would say so. Absolutely.
Good, because like you said, the last two Volbeat CDs have been kind of disappointing.
One of them nearly made Jesse Starcher very, very sad. So he still hasn't quite gotten over it. All right, so that's what we're doing. This week on the Radulich Broadcasting Network, we have a full slate of shows for you. Evan Bevins, Andrew Graham, and I will be looking at the Masters of the Universe Revelations cartoon, both parts. We waited for the whole thing to be done to cover it, from Kevin Smith. It's I'm sure it's as bad as everyone says it is, but we're going to talk about it anyway. First day of Black History Month, the month of February, we will be kicking things off with a re-air of Jackie Brown. We will also be adding another re-air from the archive, our on trial for Halle Berry's Catwoman in honor of Moonfall coming out this Friday. And then in the evening time, we've got some Oscar bait for you. Yes, I'm gonna go
ahead and take that off trial for you right now. Halle Berry in leather. Win.
Yes. Yep, not guilty. Speaking of not guilty, Alexis Hana will be joining me on a triple feature of some black and white Oscar bait. We'll be doing Belfast, Passing, and come on, Harry Broadhurst, come on. Wednesday, we've got a re-air of The Doit. And in the evening time, we'll be reviewing the new Battle Beast, Circus of Doom. On Thursday, more of The Dirt, this time the soundtrack, Motley Crue's The Dirt soundtrack. And then in the evening time, Pat Mullen, Wrestling Trivia Champion Supreme, will be here with me on the Four Kings of Boxing podcast. We'll be looking at Marvin Hagler versus Roberto Duran and Tommy Hearns versus Roberto Duran. So
is either one of those the No Moss fight?
No, that we've already covered that one.
Was that Oscar against Oscar De La Hoya?
No Moss? No, that was Roberto Duran, and I believe it was Sugar Ray Leonard.
Maybe. Okay.
On Friday, we've got a re-air of our review of Korn the Nothing, because Korn's Requiem will be coming out, and we'll have an archive show being re-aired. Keith Thurman versus. Yes. I was
just gonna say, as long as it's not as bad as that freaking EDM album Korn did, because God, that fucking sucked.
Keith Thurman versus Josecito Lopez, alternative commentary from a few years back. We'll be airing that one. We'll we'll also be airing the Manny Pacquiao-Keith Thurman fight from a few years ago, and that is because Saturday night is all right for fights, ladies and gentlemen. Dan Lasby and I will be doing an alternative commentary for the Keith Thurman Mario Barrios Fox pay-per-view, so check that out. And hey, if you tuned into this and you like wrestling, check out the alternative commentary we did for the Royal Rumble. It's myself,
Chris Sheehan, Chris Bailey.
Thank you, Chris Sheehan. I'm so tired. Chris Sheehan and Chris Bailey. We did all 4 hours. All of our friends were hanging out. A lot of people came and checked out the live stream. We had a lot of fun, and we're going to keep it up. So we hope you'll join us for the next one. Harry, tell them what you do and all the things that you point out on Point of Viewer.
All right. Point of Viewer is actually Eric's deal. I'm just a disembodied voice. I kind of help guide him through the show, honestly, but it helps Eric get some stuff off his chest, and it makes things easier for when we do Life is Like a Game show here on the W2M network. Traditionally on Thursday nights, we might be switching the schedule because Brian got a new job, but we will be sticking to it. Our next episode will be this Thursday night when we tackle the Newlywed Game on Life is Like a Game show as we start Love Month for the month of February. Newlywed Game, Singled Out from MTV. I don't know if you remember that one.
I do remember Singled Out.
Baggage from GSN, the Jerry Springer hosted game show, and Tattletales, which was an old CBS game where celebrity couples would tell secrets similar to the Newlywed Games, and contestants in the audience would win prizes for the for picking the correct celebrities that got the questions right and wrong or whatever. So that'll be covered on Life is Like a Game show this month. We do have something important to discuss too about Life is Like a Game show and TV Party tonight, however. Although technically
if we're talking about the quiz show thing, that would be on trial. We're
on trial with that. Yeah, I was getting there.
Okay.
April, I believe. I want to say. Or was it February?
No one has gotten back to me on a date or a time. Jonathan, who's in our chat right now, said the 20th, which is I think is what I told Eric. That if you guys wanted to go
February 20th?
I had heard last I had heard from Eric, who never got back to me on this. I had heard February 20th, and I said around 11, so I have time to wrap up with Jason on one of our many Black History Month shows. I figure I figure I could be reset and ready by 11 o'clock.
I don't. They have me on so many podcasts on this network right now. I lose track of all of them.
Okay, yeah. Jonathan says February 20th, so I'm going with February 20th at 11, unless someone tells me otherwise.
All right, that sounds good to me. We'll go with February 20th at 11 as we cover Quiz Show.
Yes, we're going to do an on trial for Quiz Show.
The movie that was made about the 21 scandal from back in the 50s that caused game show regulations to be changed.
Oh, that'll be fun. Actually, didn't they do? Yeah, that I remember the movie that came out. That's what we're talking about. Yes, the movie about that incident.
Wow,
was about. Yeah. I am so tired. I hear we're doing a podcast right now. I don't know if you know that or not.
At HEB the Eagle on Twitter, Facebook, Yahoo. A hate mail to s.garmer@gmail.com.
All right, folks. Thanks for joining us on this exhausted TV party tonight. For Harry Broadhurst, for Big Sexy Harry Broadhurst, I'm the Heartbreak Kid, Mark Radulich. Be well, be safe, and behave.